What's up, guys? It's Cribby, and we're here today with two very special guests. We have Bestie, who will stay anonymous, and also Bestie Spurthy.
Hello, hello.
Wait, she gets bestie and her name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang. Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna be watching a couple of bad videos from a certain creator that we've talked about before on the channel, which is Chipped Coin, or I'm sorry, Clipped Coin. Apparently,
Apparently.
Lame.
I mean, honestly, like the Mandela effect, where like you have like, where like people thought
Right.
like the Monopoly Man had like a monocle. Like I feel like the same thing has just happened with Clipped
Okay, but
Coin's name.
have we talked about the
What?
stupidity of the Mandela effect?
I don't think I have.
No, because okay, this whole theory exists based on that someone is just so angry that they forget this one little minute detail about something that they refuse to believe that they just forgot, and they claim that reality itself has altered. Like, make it make sense.
Make
It
it make
just
sense.
it's like, are you just that like? Just admit you forgot. We do it all the time.
Slay.
Okay, person.
Anyways,
Anyway,
we
um, so yeah, I think we should dive on in, right? Whew.
let's do it.
Yeah, go ahead.
WandaVision is good or bad? I don't really know right now. Whenever I make a review, I always label the movie or the TV show as being good or bad. It's kind of a marketing trick, but at the same time, I want to create some viewer expectations for the videos that I make. With WandaVision, I honestly don't know if this show is going to be good or bad. It seems like the show is setting up a premise
Wait,
that could actually
hold
be
it, hold it. Okay.
Hold the phone.
Hold the
You
phone.
ain't even letting get a sentence.
Why are you naming the episodes preemptively? Like to what you think the show is going to be?
Why?
Like
I get he's like trying to be objective about it, but like, don't we? It
How is
just
saying it's
sounds.
good or bad objective though? He
I
a
don't
little.
I mean, I don't like this whole title thing. I feel like his title should be reworked. I feel like it should say WandaVision season 1 episodes 1 and 2, that way the
Yeah.
good and bad label makes sense, cuz you can't say WandaVision is good or bad based off
Right. I
of two
feel just like
episodes.
exactly, and I think it'd
Mhm.
be better if you were to point out like the strengths and weaknesses of the episodes you watched as a whole than just like deeming it as good or bad.
Yeah, I get that.
But I
Yeah,
mean,
I
there's things
agree.
that are like bop or flop. So maybe he's like doing, I don't
He's doing
WandaVision, pop
he's
or
doing
flop.
like an old
know, bop or flop.
old school bopper flop.
I'm gonna say flop.
Flop.
I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but
Honestly,
No, personally,
WandaVision
I
is
agree.
kind of bopping
WandaVision
and
was a
flopping.
bop. WandaVision was a headbanger. That's what it was.
Oh.
Alright, well, let's see what he says.
really cool. In particular, one of the best things about the Marvel movies was when characters would cross over. Disney is planning to do the same thing with the 50 new Star Wars shows that they're creating, and they're also going to be doing it with the Marvel TV shows in combination with the new movies that are going to be released. So some of the shows are actually going to cross over with the movies, which is pretty cool. The end of the first episode drops a huge teaser for what the main story of this show is going to actually be, and it appears that it's going to be linked to what we see with one of the other shows based on Loki. I'll talk more about that and how it's all connected in just a minute, but it does seem like a
Okay,
pretty
so he says this before Loki released. Like, Loki wasn't out when WandaVision was. So, like, how does he
Right.
know?
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I
Mhm.
guess it's not a genuine reaction. I don't know. Because I mean, he's still viewing it for the first time, but it's a little weird that it's not like
Yeah.
the first thing he's seen. He's like comparing it to other Marvel shows that have come out,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't
There's also,
know.
I just, like, I also want to mention, right? Like, I don't think I touched on this in my video on Clipped Coin, but his background is awful. Like there is like this is like
No,
the
I hate it.
textbook
Have you ever seen
definition
like
of a
Jake and
bad
the
background.
Neverland Pirates?
Yeah.
These are like the golden blooms or whatever.
Put them
Oh,
in
man.
WandaVision review.
No, like the fact that like this is literally just a JPEG that he put on the screen. Like this sack is like it doesn't match with the coins that are down here. And like
You know what?
I just want to know what it has
No,
to do with
it's
the
like
whole
a
account.
separate thing. Like the coins aren't even falling out of it; they're just like there.
and like
Like
the
the bag is
Really
closed.
edited.
yeah,
It,
and
like it looks like there's nothing in it either. Like there's 3 coins that are already out the bag.
Exactly, and like the book here, like the overlay of the video doesn't match up with the book. There's this entire part right here of just dead space.
You know, but I would be a little angry if it did split down the middle. But maybe he just shouldn't have put a book there.
Yeah,
in
like
general.
maybe
Yeah.
this shouldn't have been a. Maybe he should have just kept it as a table.
Yeah, no, yeah, that would have been nice.
Yeah, I mean, or you know what? Make the video full screen.
Oh my god,
That's
I don't know.
revolutionary,
What?
I
that's a
know,
little
but
revolutionary. I don't know.
truly a visionary idea.
You're asking for a lot.
There's also the fact that he just plays the trailer. Like he just plays the trailer for the show or movie that he's talking about and like puts it on loop, so like none of what he's talking about is actually reflected here.
Exactly.
Like, come on.
Good concept. The MCU is now moving into Phase 4. Several of the old major characters are now gone, and Marvel will be introducing new ones and shuffling things around a bit in order to make room. Unfortunately, along with Phase 4, they are also going to be cranking up the woke garbage 1,000%. I hate this!
You know, honestly,
Woke
give him a round of applause. He took an entire minute and a half to say the word woke. I mean, pop off.
Can he spell woke?
He doesn't know how to spell woke.
Like I think he was
I don't know.
biting his lip trying not to say it. The first minute 30.
Yeah,
No, but
he really
thought
was
he
trying.
ate with that one.
And also, like with all these reaction clips, can we talk about these reaction clips too?
Can we not? Like, oh no.
I wanna say like his voice, and he like doesn't deliver any jokes with his voice or anything. Like he
I
doesn't.
feel like we're just insulting him.
No, I don't mean to say that his voice is bad, but what I mean to say is like, you know, him talking. He doesn't deliver a single joke as him talking. Like he never has a set off and punchline with him just talking.
I feel like he thinks he has. I feel like he thinks the insults he delivers automatically have some sort of punchline attached to them, but they never land. And we're just like, come on, man. Just get on with the video.
It's also the fact that like he uses these reaction clips as the comedy, which is like not funny because we expect them. Like whenever he just shows like a clip from a different piece of media, it's like, okay.
Feels forced.
It feels forced. It doesn't feel natural. Right. Yeah.
Guys, laugh.
Oh my gosh, Bestie, you're cutting out.
God. It's a virus. Did you put your AirPods in? We said no to the AirPods.
I didn't.
Okay, great. Alright, so let's continue then.
It is revolting. And just to be clear, this is not me guessing that it's going to happen or just speculating that it might happen. The leadership at Disney and Marvel have explicitly said that is their plan. So we can expect more of this. Surprisingly, though, I haven't seen any of that in the show so far. Maybe it will.
I don't understand. What is the thing he's supposed to be barfing at? Is it Brie Larson's face?
Don't do Brie Larson like that.
Like, is it that? I don't understand the joke.
There's no reason for that reaction.
The editing should have been a quote-unquote woke scene from the movie and then the reaction clip.
What was woke about WandaVision? The first episode, what? The first episode takes place in like the 50s?
Well,
like,
to be fair about what he's saying, he did say that that wasn't a part of these episodes. Like, he says it hasn't happened yet, but he knows that it will, which is a bad criticism in and of itself because it hasn't happened yet. But to be
Exactly.
fair,
Like, why
that
wouldn't
is what he said.
Why
So
can't he just like go like why can't his criticism go along with the episode chronologically?
no,
I think he
genuinely, I
just
agree.
felt so compelled in his core to say something about it being woke that he couldn't wait to the next episode.
he couldn't
He had
wait.
that one
He couldn't
He
wait
had
until
to.
episode 3. He had to. He
No.
had to say. I mean, like, this is actually like this goes like just to clown on him a bit. Just like the fact that he says that there's like absolutely nothing wrong with like any of like the stuff that these episodes say, like, show how kind of like misogynistic he is. Because like in these episodes, like, you have like episode 1 where Wanda's just like a housewife. You have episode 2 where she's a housewife, and then like literally in the same episode they show a commercial that's like, no man is complete to go outside without his 2 accessories, his beautiful woman and his strucker.
Ugh.
And it's like, he found absolutely nothing wrong with that. Like, he's like,
Hey,
yep,
is he not
business
gonna
as usual.
comment on that? Or I mean I guess it plays into the era, but like it's still worth mentioning.
Like, it's not even like I wouldn't even bring it up as a criticism, but the fact that he's like, oh, absolutely nothing being said about politics here is like, what?
Right,
That's just
yeah.
not
Or just
true.
how women were treated in that time.
Like, bestie clipped coin. Come on, please.
You don't have your priorities straight, man.
Consistency, please.
That's wrong.
At least be consistent.
He
Will
is
rear its ugly head in
infuriating.
later episodes, I don't know.
We're
but
not even
as
like
of
2
now,
minutes in.
We're not, and we've been here for 10 minutes.
And we've just talked about how awful he
Can I
is.
just talk about like the funny screen cap that I have of Agnes here? I find it very funny.
Oh my
there's
god.
really none of that woke weirdo
You caught her in
nonsense
her
in
best
WandaVision.
moments.
Unfortunately, however, the first 2 episodes still leave a lot to be desired. Suffice it to say that both of these episodes combined are essentially a really long, extended-length trailer that doesn't really do anything for the story. Normally, I would go through the episodes and give complete breakdowns of the different scenes, but both of these first 2 episodes were almost entirely filler. The first episode was 22 minutes, and the second was 30 minutes, but all combined...
I highly disagree.
Well, one, I have to say that well, actually, Sparcy, you say what you wanted to say.
No. I just think that they like really contributed to the plot. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like we were introduced to this world that Wanda has created for herself and Vision and her kids, and I think it gives the audience kind of like a look into that almost.
Yeah.
And it's like the post credit scenes also like kind of kept us anticipating
Yeah.
what would happen next. But I mean,
Exactly.
do you think it's a filler?
No, I don't think it's filler at all. I think that it's actually very necessary to get the status quo of what everyday
Right.
life is like in Westview before you shake up the whole thing. You know?
Exactly. And I think
Yeah.
it's not even like anything. It wasn't even like a boring filler kind of thing, even if it was. Like, it literally switched to a completely different era in the next episode. So,
Yeah,
I mean, they
like-
kind of kept their toes.
Like, and I feel like this is also doing a disservice to the clever writing that a lot of the sitcom part, like, had.
Right.
Because, like, a lot of the writing was very funny.
For sure. Gabrielle, were you going to say anything?
Me personally, I mean, I enjoyed watching the first 2 episodes. Like, I don't think they were filler in the sense that it kind of introduced us to the world. And then, like you said at the end, like, the clips kind of just, they left me like, oh, play that back one more
Wait,
time? What happened?
There's more?
Question mark?
Yeah. But yeah, no, and then also I wanna mention here, I'm forgetting what he said, but here, I'll just replay it real quick.
Filler. The first episode was 22 minutes,
Okay,
and the
yeah, okay, so that's what I wanted to talk about. The fact that he says the first episode is 22 minutes and the second episode is 30 minutes, which that's just not true. Like, objectively, that's not true. Like, on Disney Plus, it shows that the first episode is 32 minutes and the second episode is like 41 minutes.
God dang.
Like at this point,
The
like,
best
did you
given
even
to him. All he had to do
watch the
was look.
show? Did
Man,
you
just
even like
Google it.
watch the show, bestie?
Where did you get those
Did he
numbers from?
write
He
his
just lying
script
now?
from memory? Like,
It felt like 22 minutes, so that must have been the time.
I'm not gonna check,
Second was
but you know, I know better.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, Disney Plus is wrong.
Whichever times you want, babe.
30 minutes, but all combined, there was maybe a grand total of 5 minutes of actual story that
Okay, but
progressed the
that's
plot.
subjective.
Everything else you could just throw away and it wouldn't change anything. Let me quickly run through what happens in the first 2 episodes,
What?
and then I can explain a little bit better what's going on with the show and what they're trying to do. Episodes 1 and 2 are in black and white. The dialogue, the jokes, and the special effects are all meant to replicate the style of old-fashioned TV shows like I Love Lucy and Bewitched. A bunch of this stuff is corny and overly dramatic, but it's supposed to be. But they also decided to include a laugh track, which unfortunately gets played every 15 seconds. And no, I'm not exaggerating.
Honest dude.
I mean, but yeah,
But
that's...
what do you expect? It's
Exactly.
a
Yeah, have
sitcom.
you ever watched a sitcom before, pal?
He's
I
acting like
don't
he's
think he
never
has.
watched TV before.
I don't know if he's actually watched anything before except for
Is
like...
he real or is he just a robot?
I think the only thing that he's ever watched before is like a GIF of the American flag.
World War II document.
Oh jeez, this is this is getting interesting.
I haven't really heard any actual criticism of like the show itself. Just
Yeah, this has
Yeah,
all
I
been...
noticed that too. It's very like vague. He's like, yeah, but this isn't this or bad, but you know, like he never like gets down into the specifics of it. But I feel like maybe he might if we get past like 2 minutes. Or
I
what are
feel
we
like
at?
if we we're a third way through the video though. Like he should have
Jeez,
already like
jump
said
into it already.
something.
We're angry.
exactly.
You know, like you can't
Something
have a
substance.
9-minute video and have a 4-minute introduction. Like my videos are
Yeah,
usually
that
like
works
45 minutes long and they have like a 1-minute introduction. You know, like you can't you can't just like say things without backing them up.
Right. I'm glad
No,
I
because
don't
that
feel
timing
that. I'm not the only one who feels that way.
No, genuinely, it's so dumb.
Laugh tracks throughout the first 2 episodes constantly. And yes, it's just as annoying as it sounds.
You probably shouldn't laugh anymore.
I'm hoping it goes away as the show continues, because
What?
it really did get irritating real fast. We start with Wanda and Vision newly married and settling into
He
a new home.
completely
There's a
missed the
mysterious
point of
event.
the show.
Yeah,
Like,
I
yeah,
think he was
the
watching
laugh
the
tracks are weird. I wonder why it's
you know,
it's in the
I really
50s.
hate the fact that it's in black and white. Like, what the
Yeah,
fuck's
God.
up with that?
God.
I only watch stuff in
Yeah,
color.
Does Wanda have like rollers in her hair? God dang.
That's so 50s. Ew.
Yeah. Ew.
Oh, fuck off. I can't with him.
Shut up.
Marked on their calendar with a heart. Neither character knows what this is for because they don't seem to have access to their full memory. Vision ends up going to work, while Wanda entertains a neighbor at the house. Wanda incorrectly comes to the conclusion that the heart means it's an anniversary of some kind, and begins setting up things for a romantic evening. Vision, on the other hand, finds out the truth that the heart was indicating his boss, who's named Mr. Hart, is supposed to come over for dinner later that night. This is a pretty standard trope used in old TV shows where 2 characters talk about the same event, but they misunderstand, and it leads to comical situations and other hijinks. During the dinner, both Wanda and Vision are trying to tell the story of how they were married, but once again, they can't seem to remember anything. Vision's boss ends up choking, and Vision saves him. That evening, which could have potentially ended in disaster, ends up being a great success for Vision, making a good impression on his new boss. And that's the end of the first episode. It's 22 minutes of pretty much just filler. Not much story at
What?
all.
I
Now,
feel like there were so many stylistic things you could have pointed out about the first episode.
Like,
Or like
there's a
clues
lot
as to what
you can
going
talk about. A also talking about the first episode while showing clips of the second episode. But
Yeah. Oh man.
but no, like there's a lot that he's just completely missing here. Like,
There's so many TV show references, and like
mhm.
it's just like they paid homage to like this 50s era, and I feel like there's just so much you could mention.
Like additionally, like one, like not everything has to be directly tied to like the bigger story. Like that's just a stupid argument to
Exactly.
make, you know? But like,
Right. Like, some things are you're allowed to interpret things in like a surface level way, and you're allowed to
exactly.
point. It's media. Like that's just what it
Hmm.
is.
Yeah. And like on top of which, just thinking about like what he's like saying here, like it just none of his points make sense because
Also, oh, keep going. Sorry.
yeah, yeah. No problem. Like what he's talking about is like he gives us the synopsis of the episode, like if we've never watched it, which is
Right.
dumb, because if you're watching a review for something, you should have already watched
We
that
want to hear your
thing.
take on it.
Yeah,
You
we want to
know.
hear your take on it. We don't want to hear the plot synopsis that we can get off of
Right.
Wikipedia. Like,
Literally.
come
And I
on.
feel like there was so much lore behind the show. Like there was so much to the point where it's like worth pointing out. Like
Mhm.
there were just like so many Easter eggs that people were like pulling from the first episode, or like that one like radio scene from the first. Is that the first or second episode? I'm
That
not.
was the second episode.
Okay, then never mind. But
Yeah.
like the scene of like that lady choking or whatever,
Mhm. Yeah.
Katie from that '70s show. There was just like a lot of discourse about little things like that you could have like pulled from Twitter
Mhm.
or really anywhere that I feel like he overlooked.
Mhm.
That's the main takeaway from the
Mhm.
first episode. Really?
Yeah, and like there's
Yeah.
also just a lot of moments that are really fucking funny. Like I loved my favorite joke of the first episode personally was when he's singing "Old MacDonald had a farm," and he
Mhm.
turns to like he's like "Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O," and on that farm he looks to his boss so that he can reply, but his boss stays silent. So Vision says, "Pig, E-I-E-I-O," and then the boss gets offended. It's funny because like the boss
Right.
doesn't make a big deal out of it, but it's like something that you can kind of see and it's funny. But
Exactly.
he just doesn't mention it. Like he doesn't mention any of the jokes. He's just like,
So unaware as a critic. It's really funny.
"Did you want to say anything, Bestie?"
You're kind of out, but like I don't know, what did he want this first episode to be? Because like this introduced you to the world, and like it set up like because you can't really just jump into the main conflict because like
Right.
this was the first thing that Wanda did. She like took over Westview. Like
Mhm.
she has to actually do stuff before people can come in and for there like to be conflict and stuff. So I
Yeah,
don't know what did you want?
yeah,
No,
does he not
honestly.
understand how plot development works? Like he does jump in
Exactly.
climax.
You can't, yeah, you can't just like start at the climax. You have to like have the
Exactly.
rising action. And you know what part of the storytelling structure is? The
Should we pull out like the
exposition.
little like the hero's journey thing, or like what was it, like a little like the mountain?
The great
Like,
time.
We
He's
need to
really good.
we need to give him a third grade education on the
the
hero's
plot.
journey.
Take him back
Apparently.
to yeah.
Jeez.
In the last few
Well, he
moments, we
didn't
do
really
get a little
have
bit of a teaser for
Hmm?
I just like did he actually have anything negative to say about the first episode other than he didn't appreciate the laugh track? Or was this
Uh,
just
I
I mean, other than that, and him saying that he doesn't like the fact that it took too long to talk about stuff that he thinks are important. So, I mean, pick your poison on which is the worst argument, because both of them are quite shitty.
this is trifling?
It really is.
the rest of the show and what they're going to do with the series. As the camera is zooming out, we see that Wanda and Vision are actually in some sort of TV show or at least they're being watched on a screen. This is what appears to be the link that will connect WandaVision over to the Loki
I'm
TV
sorry,
show,
what?
but more on that in a minute.
Wait, no. I've seen Loki. I've seen a bit of Loki. This is clearly not
It's
from the
not.
Loki show. You can see the sword logo here and here. Like, you can see it.
Did he watch these episodes before watching the other ones?
I doubt
I mean,
it.
like, did he make these videos before watching the rest of the episodes?
No, but, like, you can still see the sword logo. Like, that's still an organization from the comics, and he's supposed to know stuff about the comics because he talks about them.
I don't. I feel like he might be watching these episodes with his eyes closed because there is no way that you can just get things mixed up like that.
Yeah, you can't do that.
The show literally tells us who's watching them later on. Why is he?
Also, like these vague reviews are just like, it's so weird to me. Like, what is he trying to get at?
I don't know who values this guy's opinion because like he either
Literally.
lies or he's wrong.
Or he's like a bigot.
I think he watches with the intent to hate. He just
Honestly.
he's not really trying.
Genuinely, yeah, I agree. He really is trying to prevent everyone from living, laughing, loving.
Episode 2 is more of the same. Both Wanda and Vision go about their day, each of them meeting new people in the neighborhood. There are a few incidents with Wanda where objects in the world are shown with color, greatly contrasting everything else that's in black and white. And it's clear that something is wrong and giving hints that the world is not what Wanda thinks it is. The second half of the episode is just a bunch of the same old-fashioned comical situations that we saw from the first episode. Now, if you're a fan of meaningless sitcoms, then you'll probably enjoy it.
Oh, not this again.
But it just doesn't
What was
add...
that reaction clip even for?
I don't.
What was he reacting to that made him say, "Oh no, not this again"?
He.
Also, of course, he likes The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, of course.
You
Red
specifically a
flag.
second clip.
But, you know, to anyone else who likes The Big Bang Theory,
Sorry if
that's
he is
awesome. Keep doing that. But not if you're clipped coin.
Not if you're clipped coin. if you're clipped coin, you're not allowed to
Stop
like the
watching
Big
it.
Bang Theory. Oh my gosh. Oh,
I feel
jeez.
like he's completely overlooking the fact that this whole show is just this one big dark existential tragedy that Wanda is having, and he isn't very good at explaining that. Like, the pieces are all there. Like, when the lady was choking in the first episode, you can see Wanda kind of like going. She's like kind of like. I can't think of the word, but she's like kind of checking out from her weird alternate reality that she's created for herself. She's like getting out of character almost, and like the color thing, that's a pretty big sign. I don't know.
Like,
He's just
I find like he didn't bring this up because I guess he just didn't care, but like with the color thing, I had a small problem with the color thing. That I talk about, like, or that I'm going to talk about in my WandaVision review. But, But basically, just the dumbed down version of it, so that way you don't take too long on it, is just that, like, if Wanda's hex is rewriting the cells to fit whatever the world is at that moment, then the helicopter should have been in black and white because its cells should have reverted to that instead of being in color.
right.
But like that's my only problem with it.
Got it.
Like in and of itself, it's a very good way of contrasting with the rest of the environment and having this otherworldly feel, which he does mention that it's a contrast, but he doesn't explain why it's like a good contrast.
For sure. Or
know
a
our
bad
bestie.
one. Sorry, what were you saying?
Would you like? Oh, I was gonna say, our bestie Chip Coin wouldn't bring up anything that actually matters.
That's true. He would not. You know,
putting too much faith and his
I
predecessor.
actually, this is chipped coin. This is my chipped coin impression. I like the white part of the black and white, but
Yeah,
I don't know
fine.
about the black part of black and
This
white.
is why I hate that it's in black and white.
It should just be white.
Notice how in the sitcom that takes place in like the 50s, he didn't say anything about the diversity issue.
He really didn't. And I feel like if it was diverse, he would have pointed it out.
He would have been really upset. He
He
would
would
have
have been like, wait a second, isn't this the 50s?
He would have said it's woke if there was like a black guy in the first episode.
Right, literally.
Yeah.
Which is so sad. Like, who gives this guy an audience?
I don't know. I don't know why Dude Bro has like 11,000 subscribers. Like, who subscribed to this guy?
Unnecessary.
Like, come on.
Add anything to the story, and for me,
Oh, Bestie, you're cutting out.
You're glitching. We're losing you.
Bestie, we're losing you.
We really are.
Bestie, did you put on your AirPods
I hear
again?
beeps. I hear beeps, and that's all.
Bestie, no. Did you put on your AirPods again?
Damn AirPods.
Oh, jeez. Bestie, this is trifling.
Magic.
Bestie? Say something? Oh.
No. What happened?
Bestie.
How will we go on without her?
Hello? Bestie?
Dang.
Alright,
You're
there
back!
you're
Oh my
back.
God.
Perfect.
What?
Okay.
He's alive!
So you were saying, Bestie?
Oh, now I don't even. Was I saying?
You
yeah,
were.
you were, but if you forgot, we could just continue, and maybe if it comes back to you, I'll pause it.
Okay.
for me, it's not very
Is someone gonna say something? Okay.
No.
Oh, damn.
interesting. At the end of the second episode, Wanda reveals that she's pregnant, but suddenly they hear a noise from outside. The two of them go outside to investigate, and they find a man in a beekeeper suit climbing out of the street.
What?
Wanda is clearly confused at the situation and says no, as if it was a command. Just then, reality rewinds to the moments just before the noise happened outside.
Talking about
Then the
episode
world
2
is
while showing
bathed.
clips of episode 1.
He is so good.
He needs to be consistent.
I thought episode 1 was insignificant.
Yeah.
Where is that energy?
Where's the
Nowhere to be
energy?
in color, and time seems to have moved from the 50s to the 60s or 70s.
I'm sorry.
We also hear
No, it didn't. No. The first episode is in the 50s, the second episode is in the 60s, and then the third episode is in the 70s. Like, how can you not get that logical progression?
He is so...
He wouldn't
it's
even bother
just
to do
basic
so.
research. Basic research.
It's not even it's not even basic research. You could just figure this out by like watching the damn show.
Not even, literally, or just going on social media. Like everybody does.
Like, come on. This is so trifling. He like doesn't even
True.
mention like some of the interesting parts of it being set in the 60s. He's just like, was it in the 50s or the 60s?
I can't tell.
hear some audio in the background of a man asking Wanda where she is and who is doing this to her. The total combined runtime for the first 2 episodes was about 52 minutes, but as I said, there's only about 5 minutes of actual story, the rest just being filler. I don't have a problem with how they're trying to set up the new show, because it isn't...
So he using
How can he claim that there's only a little bit of actual story when he doesn't even know what the story is?
Exactly. And like also the fact that like fucking he shows an anime reaction clip. and like
These
it's Dragon
reaction
Ball
clips
Z.
really got your blood pumping
But
because
I wanna mention that it's a Dragon Ball Z reaction clip. How can you like Dragon Ball
I
fucking Z and not like filler? Like, bestie.
is that just like a thing
Bestie,
within the
please.
God dang.
Like, answer this paradox. You can't.
He confuses me.
he,
He really does.
he really is like his mind is an enigma
True.
beyond our comprehension.
Right, no, he's just the being of all beings.
Honestly,
we we haven't reached his level
we
yet.
haven't reached his level.
Interesting way to do it. They want to establish that Wanda is not in the real world and that something very strange is happening. The issue I have is how long they're taking to do it. Almost everything we see in the first 2 episodes we already knew from watching the 3-minute trailer for the show. I was expecting them to open the show in the old black and white style and then quickly moving on, but after the first 15 minutes I started scratching my head wondering why the plot wasn't getting advanced. Then, when it continued into the second episode, I started to get more annoyed and bored. The first 2 episodes...
He literally is doing the it's in black and white, therefore it's boring because I only watch things in color.
He's such a baby.
Bitch.
Like maybe like how dumbed down does the show have to be for him to comprehend it?
I mean, like, he's literally like me when I was 5 years old, where I didn't want to watch, like, Dick Van Dyke because it was in black and white.
Literally, and this show has taken so much inspiration from Dick Van Dyke, and he just point that out.
Mm-hmm. Like, genuinely, come on, man. It's like...
It's just... He's upsetting.
He's like, oh, I wanted the black and white thing to only be, like, for the first few minutes. You're showing the trailer. Clearly you've seen the trailer. If most of the trailer is in black and white, what do you think is the case?
It's not even like the black and white thing anymore. It's just like I don't think he understands that it's like intentionally supposed to be slow, like slow. I don't want to say slow burn, but it's like
Well, no,
a
it kind of
slow
is.
plot. Slow burn maybe.
Yeah.
It's like the whole point. I feel like he's just never seen like a Marvel movie or show ever, because like I think the whole point behind those is that they have like these little Easter eggs that you kind of like reflect on after the episode, and it just makes it more of like an enjoyable experience. But I don't know, maybe I like how straightforward do they need to be, like, because this is not the show for him.
Sprithy, let's be honest,
Exactly.
like, we're dumbing it down so much, he still wouldn't get it. Like, even if he were to watch this video, he still wouldn't understand.
I'm sure he's just like, but it's bad.
But black and white. Oh my god.
could probably have been cut down to 10 minutes and it would have had the exact same effect. I'm not saying that every
No.
single second needs to be directly connected to the main story
No,
or
but
push.
that is exactly like what you were saying.
Yeah, he's like, no, it's not. I'm not saying that we should cut it short, but it should be cut short because I don't.
I'm not saying.
Therefore, nobody else.
I'm not saying that the story isn't allowed to have fun and divulge outside of the strict plot that I want it to have. But the story can't divulge and go outside of the strict plot that I want it to have.
The show needs to be like every other show ever.
Mm-hmm.
You hear me?
This show needs to be over like this. You know, I need to turn on my TV and have the credits rolling.
Along the plot, there can be little things here and there for jokes and humor and whatnot, but watching Wanda mess around in the kitchen for 5 minutes with burned food is not a good use of time in an
But I thought you liked having women only do trivial things.
Yeah, what?
Come
Did
on,
he
be
not like
consistent.
ream his pants when he saw that scene? Like what? Oh my god.
Oh my god. I feel like we're spending a lot of time on this first episode, but I feel like we're gonna have to we're gonna spend like drastically less time on each of these episodes because we're gonna eventually only be able to repeat ourselves and we're not gonna be able to do that.
Right.
So
And I feel like we're compensating for how little he's talking about this.
Exactly. Like, bestie, please give some commentary that's meaningful, something to work with.
What's that 9-minute video
We're
about the
7 minutes.
first
We're
episode?
7 minutes into his video. Like, am I supposed to? Am I supposed to expect that he's over here, like? that
There
he's,
is no way.
Literally, the only thing I'm taking away from this video is that he has done no research and that he is incapable of watching any sort of complex media.
The only thing
Does
that
he even know that the show is called WandaVision?
At this point, all that I've gathered from this video is that he like might not have eyes or
True.
ears,
Exactly.
but he has like it compensates because he has a huge mouth.
He never closed.
Yeah.
episode that's only 22 minutes long. So I guess whether or not the show becomes good is going to be dependent on how long they continue to drag this stuff out. However, as I said, the overall premise does seem to be really interesting, and I'm looking forward to what it could become. It appears that Wanda is trapped in some sort of alternate reality that she is capable of controlling. In the trailer with the other Marvel show based on Loki, we saw that he is part of an organization that monitors different realities and then deals with different kind of problems that come up from that. It looks like that very same organization might be the one that is monitoring Wanda. It's kind of like a Matrix situation.
I know Kung Fu.
This brings up a lot of questions. Is Vision actually alive, or is he just created as a copy by Wanda? Also, what about their child? In the comics, Wanda and Vision did have kids, but it was later revealed that they were not real and that they had been created by Wanda's powers. It looks like the show is just kind of telling you that right up front. And speaking of Wanda's powers, it looks like the show is changing them to be more in line with what she had in the comics. In the previous Marvel movies, Wanda could create kind of red magical stuff that could move things around or cause damage, but that was about it. Her comic book powers are more about reality warping, and that seems to be what we're seeing in the show. This is definitely interesting, and I'd like to see what they do with it, but it also creates a little bit of the Captain Marvel situation, where they massively overpowered Captain Marvel to the point where they had to pretty much keep her out of the Endgame movie for as much as possible, otherwise she would have just won the whole thing on her own. So if you're
I don't
going...
know if I would say that they overpowered her. That's like her power
No.
level in the
Exactly.
comics.
Yeah. Like, were they supposed to underpower?
Yeah, because some people
Is that
would
the
come.
correct
Well, no,
terminology?
he wouldn't. No, it is. It is. But people would be upset that she was underpowered,
Right.
except for
I
him.
mean,
He would
yeah,
be okay
and
with
all
it.
the other people that just don't like her because she's a woman.
Yeah. You
True.
know, him-
Like, I
yeah.
feel like he's trying to find a way to hate, but
I knew he was gonna bring her into this.
Yeah, we knew he's brought Brie Larson into this twice, so
and
God.
I wouldn't put it past him. It seems like exactly the type of thing he would do.
no, it
He
is.
He owes her an apology. This
He
is personal.
really does. This is a personal attack.
Like, he personally has a hate club.
He actually.
He
he-
really does.
specifically.
yeah, exactly. Like
He
he has
probably
a Brie
started the
Larson
thread.
hate club. Like I don't like Brie Larson, but you don't have to go that far.
How we
God.
hate on Bestie Brie.
Yeah, that's another day. Another argument for another day.
That's another argument for another day, I guess.
Going to have Scarlet Witch in the MCU with reality warping powers that kind of makes it difficult for the bad guys to actually be a threat. So while I'm not a very big fan of the first 2 episodes, there's a lot of potential in this show. So for now, I'm gonna hold off on making a decision on whether it's good or bad. I want to watch the next couple of episodes to see if it's just more of the same, or if they actually start moving the story along into something
It doesn't
more
go with the
interesting.
show at all.
But that's the end
Or
of
really what
episode
he's
1
talking about.
and 2.
So that was
Did
your
he-
fault.
Did he get
That was-
did he get like stock beats?
I guess so. He was just like on like the
Must
free
have.
YouTube music.
Oh
He
jeez. Okay.
browsing, and he happened to pick the worst one.
We ready
Right.
for
He
episode?
picked like the
WandaVision-
first one he saw.
We ready for
It's getting
episode
Roblox
2?
zombies.
It's giving Roblox zombies.
Oh my god,
It really is.
Are we ready for this one, guys? It's in color now, so maybe he won't complain as much.
True.
We'll see.
WandaVision is good, maybe? I still don't know, but it's definitely getting better. Far better than episode 1 and 2, that's for sure. In episode 3, it's finally starting to move the story along. This really does make it seem like the first 2 episodes were nothing more than a long, extended trailer. While episode 3 is a significant improvement, there's still some of that lingering stupidity, and the constant laugh track is still
Strong word.
there, and it's still very
sitcom.
annoying. I did discover that the show was recorded in front of a live audience, so at least some of that laughing is real, but it happens so frequently, I have to believe that they
I'm
must
very
have
bothered by the
included
fact that he
extra
said
laugh tracks
episode
as
1
well.
and 2
I mean,
was not plural. It's bothering me.
Episode 1 and 2.
I literally I have not.
This is simple English.
I'm so bothered. I'm so sorry.
You don't have to apologize.
You
That
don't have
is
to
valid.
apologize. He has to apologize for his bad English.
How old is he? Does he not?
Honestly,
Plural words.
probably 14.
Plural words don't exist for him.
Plural words
He just-
don't exist because
No,
if we
but-
if we
Sorry.
said that
All-
if we said that words were plural, then that would mean that we'd have to accept that women have rights, and he can't do that.
Sorry. I guess the plural
Flippoint
words
does
are a little
not
too woke.
abide by the laws of the English language, okay? He is a trailblazer.
The English language is too woke for Chip.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, at one point, there was laughter
So
because a
restricted.
doorbell rang. There was nothing else happening. It's just a doorbell that rang, and then there was laughter. Why? It didn't make any sense. So either there are
I don't
including
know.
laugh
Yeah,
tracks
I don't
and
know
just
what he's talking about. Like, I don't. If he showed like that scene, that'd be nice.
Yeah, right.
It's
But
the same context. Come
I
on
don't know
now.
what he's talking about. But I would assume that it's because it's been like set up and it's like a payoff to the joke. I think what he's talking about is when Geraldine rings the door and Wanda's like about to go into labor. But like that's
Oh.
like people laughed at that because she's about to go into the process and then someone just shows up and like they're
Right,
not
that's
supposed to be
funny.
there.
Very context dependent.
Yeah, you can't just be like, oh, people laugh because a doorknob rang. Or a doorbell. I said doorbell, not
Context
doorknob.
behind it, just like kind of support his point almost.
I mean, he's willing to ignore it. You know, maybe
like,
he just
"Oh,
didn't
yeah,
notice. Maybe he just didn't watch episode 3 and he didn't realize that Wanda was going into labor.
What is that, self-serving bias?
Oh.
I don't know, AP psychology.
weird times, or they fed the audience something strange before they started recording.
Nice.
At the end of the second episode, reality had been changed from the black and white of the 50s and 60s into the color of the 70s. The style of the episode has also been changed to accommodate this, matching much more like something you would have found on a 70s TV show. I'm guessing that they're going to have at least 1 or 2 more episodes of the 70s before moving into the 80s and then the 90s and so on. It's not a terrible idea. I think it can definitely work, provided that they spend most of the time on the story instead of the
They-
stupid
they
filler
are.
sitcom nonsense like they did with the first 2 episodes. I get it. It was funny for about a minute, but they dragged it out way too long.
No.
Mistakes were made, and I will find out who's responsible.
Something else that bears mentioning that I didn't put in my previous video is that the acting in this show is really good. Paul Bettany does an absolutely amazing job as Vision, even with some of the bad dialogue that they give to him. Elizabeth Olsen also does very well, and so does the rest.
Is he not going to mention, like, Elizabeth Olsen's, like, Emmy-winning acting here?
Oh, I think he just did.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to redact my previous statement. It's not self-serving bias, it's confirmation bias. I don't know.
It's okay. It's okay, Smurfy.
That they give to him. Elizabeth Olsen
Just
also does
actually
very
complimented
well,
a woman.
and so does the
This may
rest
be
of the
the first
supporting
time.
cast.
Oh my god! Write it down!
The only actor that stands out as just being awful is the actress that's playing Geraldine. Even in the exaggerated...
What? This screenshot feels racially
one-
motivated.
Guys,
Other...
literally a black woman.
This screenshot feels racially
Brownie
motivated.
points it.
Also, how the fuck are you gonna say that Geraldine's actress? Oh, I mean, I'll be honest. Geraldine's actress isn't great. But how the fuck are you gonna say that Geraldine's actress is bad and not say that Agnes has a terrible actress in the first 2 episodes?
Well, I mean, like, aren't they supposed to, like, kind of be acting into the thing that they're doing?
It's supposed to be overly cheerful almost.
And
Like, it's not supposed to be good acting.
That's
and
true.
my bestie on the screen right now, her character is literally about to, like, go through a thing because she's kind of like, because she's not really supposed to be there. Like, she came in and Wanda's gonna kick her out soon. I think she kicked her out in this episode. So isn't she supposed to be, like, a little bit off anyways?
Yeah, the necklace is another thing that, like, shouldn't have been there because it should have been rewritten out, but that's all just nitpicky. I'm not gonna go into that. It's just something I wanted to mention.
Sitcom situation, her acting was just cringe, and it was painful to watch.
It was cringe. It was cringe, guys. It was so cringy. It's just, I don't know. I feel like when your only argument for something is you cringe, you need to reevaluate your argument.
But acting in sitcoms are usually a little bit, I don't want to say the
Cheesy.
word cringe. I'm not going to say it. But yeah, cheesy.
Over the top,
So,
yeah.
I mean, doing what she's supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Actor to recognize a bad one.
As a side note, this actress and her character will also have a starring role in the upcoming movie Captain Marvel 2, which I'm sure will be nothing
That's a
short
movie?
of both stunning and brave. But let's take a look.
Okay, so he doesn't like Captain Marvel.
I mean,
I think that was already established.
We didn't know.
But, like, thanks, I guess.
At episode
Thanks for
3. It begins
reiterating
with
it.
Wanda getting a checkup about her pregnancy. The doctor says that she's about 4 months in, and Wanda seems to be taking it as totally normal. Vision, on the other hand, is concerned and seems to be the only one that recognizes the strangeness of the situation. Outside, Vision...
No. That's not true. Wanda just doesn't want to say anything because she doesn't want to tell the fucking doctor that she has powers. Like...
Right. Because they've been concealing their identity.
Yeah,
Which you would know if you paid
if you
attention to the
watched
first
the
episode.
show.
but I mean, he was too busy writing his hate review that he
was
wasn't
too
really
busy,
watching.
like,
He wasn't too busy closing his eyes.
He saw a black woman and he immediately jumped on his hate bandwagon.
He started getting his pen and paper out, taking notes.
Vision also notices that the neighbor is acting very strange. While trimming the hedges, the neighbor cuts into the wall but doesn't even seem to notice at all. The neighbor is acting like part of a simulation that's been broken.
My man.
Of course she watches Rick and Morty.
Very quickly, Wanda's pregnancy continues to advance at an accelerated rate. She begins losing control of her powers, which causes disruptions around her. The lights flicker, the appliances turn on and off by themselves, and other strange things happen inside the house and around the neighborhood. All of this is just more sitcom nonsense, but then we get something that's actually interesting about the story. Vision now seems to be fully aware that something is very wrong. And as he begins telling this to Wanda, she has a very concerned look on her face, as if she doesn't want the illusion to be destroyed. At the end of the second episode, there was a rewind effect that Wanda did in order to change things to make herself happy. And in this episode, instead of that rewind effect, there's more of a spliced jump cut, as if they just went back 30 seconds in time.
It never happened. No way. It never happened.
On this second go-round, instead of Vision expressing his concern about something being wrong, he does the exact opposite and assures Wanda that everything is going to be okay. Clearly, this is Wanda or some other force resetting this part of reality to be more in line with what Wanda desires. Suddenly, Wanda claims that her water has broken, and it begins to rain inside the house. It cuts to a fake commercial for a fancy type of soap that's called Hydra Soak. These types of fake commercials have been happening in the first two episodes as well, and they appear to be tied to Wanda's subconscious.
Well, Freud was right.
Back in the real show, Vision leaves to go get the doctor, and then we get several agonizing minutes of Geraldine. This is more sitcom nonsense, where Wanda is trying to hide the fact that she's pregnant for some reason.
Again,
Wanda
that
wears a
screenshot
coat
feels
or
so
holds up.
motivated.
Exactly. Like, you, out of all the
Had
characters,
to do her dirty like that.
You had
the
to
one
do it
character he
dirty.
happens to hate, and he doesn't have a good record. He I just
Not a good record.
a horrible record, actually.
He's gonna hate the next few episodes.
Yeah, if he doesn't
True.
like Geraldine, then there's gonna be some.
He's gonna be punching the air when he gets to.
Yeah, when she gets
Four and
superpowers.
Ooh,
Not gonna be
he's
happy
gonna,
about that.
he's gonna be
He might
crying,
as
screaming,
well be
and
off.
he's gonna be crying, screaming, sobbing, and throwing up.
Dang, a 4-in-1.
All at the same
Bowl
time.
of fruit in front of her to hide her belly, and then a stork magically appears, and Wanda tries to shoo it away without Geraldine noticing. All the while, we have to endure some stupid story that Geraldine is trying to tell. But suddenly, Wanda
It's
begins giving
supposed to be
birth,
stupid,
and Geraldine
that's the
has
point.
to help. As
I
you
feel
would
like he
guess,
just doesn't
it's
like
a
her, so
lot
he's finding any
smoother
way to
and
hate.
easier than normal, since 1, it's a TV show, and 2, this is a kind of pocket fake reality. The baby even comes out wearing clothes and wrapped in a blanket.
It's very convenient.
Very convenient.
Well, I
Vision
mean,
and the
yeah, it's a
doctor
TV
arrive, but
show,
it seems
and
like
it's,
everything
supposed to be
is
a TV
already
show
done
inside
until
of
they
a TV
realize
show,
that Wanda
so-
is actually pregnant with twins and gives birth to another child.
Now there are 2 of them.
Vision walks the doctor outside to say thank you and farewell, and the doctor remarks that he was supposed to go on vacation, but that he just doesn't seem to be able to leave the town, and then confused, he wanders off. Vision notices that his neighbor is still standing by the wall with the hedge clipper for some reason, and the annoying lady is there as well. She starts talking to Vision about Geraldine, that Geraldine doesn't actually own a house or even live in the neighborhood, she just kind of showed up one day. The neighbor wants to explain more, but the annoying lady seems to have some sort of power or influence over him and gets him to stop talking. In the background, it's also very obviously fake, with large painted backdrops. The annoying lady seems to imply that Vision should be concerned about Geraldine being alone with Wanda. Inside the house, Wanda tells Geraldine that she was also a twin, and Geraldine mentions that her brother was killed by Ultron, something that Geraldine obviously should not know. Wanda then notices the necklace that Geraldine is wearing. It's the symbol of SWORD, an organization that specializes in dealing with
So
threats
you know
from
what
space
SWORD
and other
is.
realities. It's a counterpart to the SHIELD organization.
So you know what sword is. Yet,
But couldn't be
Bestie,
bothered.
you couldn't be bothered to look at the notepad and the computer screen in the first episode.
Oh,
You know him. Couldn't be bothered.
Couldn't be bothered. Couldn't be asked. Did not care enough.
that deals
Not
with more
steroids.
Earth-based threats. Wanda gets angry and confronts Geraldine about all of this, but Geraldine refuses to answer any of the questions. Vision, concerned that something might be happening, rushes inside the house only to find Wanda watching over their children with Geraldine nowhere to be found. Wanda says that she had to leave suddenly. The scene then moves over to what appears to be the real world, in a town called Westview. A tear in space begins to open, and Geraldine is thrown through it. Military vehicles and helicopters arrive on the scene, and in the background we can see what appears to be flickers in space where reality is being altered. Finally, we are starting to get an actual story. It was pretty obvious, even from just the trailers, that this was the sort of thing that they were building up to. We know that Wanda has at least some control over what happens inside this pocket reality, but she may or may not have been the one that created it. The annoying neighbor also seems to be aware or has some influence on what's going on inside. The character of Geraldine is actually Monica Rambeau, a character that was introduced as a much younger version in the movie Captain Marvel, but now, since we've moved forward in time a bit, Monica Rambeau seems to be working as an agent of S.W.O.R.D. The situation with Vision is far more mysterious, as he does seem to be able to become aware of the strangeness of everything going on, but at the same time, he's also under the complete control of Wanda, not to mention the fact that he did kind of die in Endgame. It's not quite clear whether or not Vision was repaired, or if this is simply a creation of the pocket reality. So while there are definitely still some issues with the show, it is slowly getting better. They still need to remove the laugh tracks and reduce the sitcom nonsense to an absolute minimum. It would also be nice if they had gotten a better actress for Geraldine and Monica Rambeau. And while the first two have a good chance of happening, I hope,
These have
the third,
nothing to do with like the
unfortunately,
quality of the show in general.
Like the writing or the actual story behind.
Yeah, these are all very like minute details that make the show what it is. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with plot development. Actually, no, the sitcom thing is very important to the plot. I don't know why he doesn't realize that.
Like, he's over here saying, like, oh, we need to get rid of all this laugh track and sitcom nonsense. And it's like, well,
no,
that's like the whole point of the show.
Right. It's supposed to show that Wanda is living in this sort of superficial universe that she's created for herself and her family, I guess.
If he wanted the sitcom part of it to just be like 5 minutes of the first episode, then what would have been the point of making the show?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Like, it wouldn't have been very good, like, build up to, like, figure out the actual, like, climax.
Exactly.
Or the actual, like, point or drama.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like that was.
I don't know how it would be convincing without it. You know that
exactly.
Wanda's truly
because now we're like by this point in the show we're like connected to this world and like the people.
Yeah, right.
So like when Wanda has to depart from it, like in the final episode, we feel that too.
Yeah, and I feel like there was almost something kind of eerie about it being a sitcom, and that definitely made the whole experience a lot more interesting. And I don't know, I don't know what he's missing here.
I think he's actually missing everything. I think he's missed every episode of the show.
I think it's just too complex for him.
Honestly, I think it is just too complex for him. I think Whittle baby Clip Coin's mind can't comprehend WandaVision.
Right.
And you know what?
He needs to
okay. If he can't comprehend WandaVision, it's okay. It's a really quick, easy solution. Don't talk about WandaVision.
Stop watching it.
Very simple.
And please keep Bessie Geraldine's name out your mouth. I need to be dragged even by like this. She does not deserve it. You're putting down.
We're all.
Please keep Bessie Geraldine's
out your mouth. Or I'm. You know what happened last time those words were said. Might have to pull.
Gonna pull up to his mom's basement.
His mom's. Pull up to his mom's basement. Because that's where he lives.
Right, we've established that.
Oh my god.
We're stuck with. At this point, I wouldn't say the show is terrible, but at the same time, I wouldn't recommend watching it either. It's just too slow for right now.
Like, what
We'll
does
have
he
to see
good?
where it goes from here.
Like,
But
I
that's
want to
the
know
end
too
of
because
episode.
No, like
every
I think we've established this, that he like watches like a gif. They're like, yeah, a gif of the American flag for like 10 hours straight.
No, but like, what has he ever given like a good
Oh
review?
no.
Yeah, and
Yeah, he has.
what is he?
The one thing that I think he reviewed positively was The Boys.
The Boys.
What?
Yeah, on
That
Amazon.
sounds horrible.
That does
It's
sound
actually
horrible.
a pretty good show, but it's like this whole thing on Amazon where like this is like this evil superhero group. Like they're like supposed to be superheroes, and but like they're contracted to a company, and so because of that, like they're not like they're actually like jackasses. So there's this group called the Boys that's trying to take them down.
I
And
mean,
that's like the whole premise of the show. It's pretty good, but he likes it because sometimes
Boys.
it will say woke bad as like something,
Oh,
but like then he started not liking it after it started making fun
After
of how
women got
people like
involved.
him, like all these like hardcore conservative idiots have like these echo chambers and stuff, and like he was like the show is making fun of that, and he's like, this show is so bad now, I can't believe it. It's like, okay, well,
Oh.
yeah,
What was that bias you were talking about earlier, Smithy?
self-serving bias.
No,
The
it's confirmation bias.
Yeah.
Yeah, you only look for things that will.
It's the
say-
tendency to process information
Yeah.
by looking at things that are consistent with your own beliefs.
Miss Krieger would be proud.
Thank you. Guys,
Okay, fantastic.
Where did you get the name Clipped Coin?
Clipped
Alright,
coin.
that's-
Clipped
I
coin.
don't know where it
WandaVision-
came from.
I don't know where it came from either. Honestly,
And it
What it has to do with his
I
channel?
quite honestly hate that name.
I just hate him.
I
you
hate
know?
everything
It's-
about him, honestly. Like,
did do
not
one
even
thing.
kidding. I actually don't know if like
I
could
just
actually.
dislike him.
I
He
don't know
lights
if
a
I
fire
could
in me.
process being in the same room as him. I feel like if I were to hypothetically be in the same room as this person, I would not be able to handle it.
He wouldn't make it out alive, that's for sure.
Damn.
I'm kidding. Clip coin, if you ever watch this. I'm kidding.
Yes.
In a sleepy mood.
Damn, Smirthy, Papa.
Cut it out of the video. Edit that out.
WandaVision is good or bad? I think I'm gonna go with good for now. For the last couple episodes.
Because your title says good question mark bad. So.
Did they kick Geraldine out?
I've been a little.
Did they kick my bestie out?
I think he's happy because Geraldine was kicked out of the Hex.
Exactly.
I guess WandaVision's good after all.
Yeah, after he got rid of the one black woman, I think I really liked
You
it.
know? Looks great to me.
After Wanda did a bit of ethnic cleansing, I'm actually starting to quite enjoy this show. I just, oh my god.
It's a horrible way to phrase
Unsure, because let's be honest, the first 3 episodes were a kind of boring snore fest, but the 4th episode definitely turned it around. If the rest of the series continues like this, then I feel it's safe to say that WandaVision will be at least a mostly good show. In this episode, we get an explanation for a lot of the strange things that have been occurring in the previous...
I'm actually a bit upset, because I don't remember him actually complimenting Bestie Geraldine's acting when
He didn't.
in the opening scene of this movie, or of this episode, where she gets reformed after the snap, and she's like in distress because she can't find her mom. Right?
Oh, right.
And that was like such a good scene. Like Bestie Geraldine
That really
actually
was.
popped off.
It
It was
he
heartbreaking.
ate all the girlies up. And did he have a word to say about it?
And he doesn't
Nope.
say anything? No.
He doesn't notice.
He
Oh,
doesn't.
shoot.
Well, didn't you know? Like, you can only be complimented on your acting if you're not black and a woman.
Exactly.
Wow.
The second she was on screen, he just started
Wow.
looking away.
In the episode,
Wow.
we also
Okay.
get a firm idea of where in the timeline WandaVision takes place. We know that this is going to happen after the events of Endgame, but we didn't know just how long. Was it weeks? Was it months? Was it years? It turns out the events of WandaVision are taking place about 3 or 4 weeks after the Endgame movie. However, this particular episode begins during the events of the Endgame movie. In fact, it picks up at the exact moment that the Hulk snapped his fingers and brought everybody back. During that movie, we never actually got to see the people being brought back, or reformed, or however you want to call it. Instead, we saw them after it had happened. So this episode gives us a good look at what happened seconds after the Hulk had snapped his fingers. Geraldine, whose real name is Monica Rambeau in the show, is beginning to reform from the dust inside a hospital. Confused, she staggers into a hallway where other people are also slowly reforming from the dust. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. We finally get to see what happened. But then I suddenly remembered that they had already showed us what happened in that forgettable and awful Spider-Man movie, Far From Home.
Danny kind of forgot it.
The beginning of that movie shows some video of the people returning. But in that movie, all of the people simply popped back into existence almost instantly. No one was slowly reforming from dust like we're seeing here in the WandaVision episode.
But weren't those
So with this
two
episode,
separate
it does
times?
seem like Marvel is kind of...
But weren't those like two separate times? Like in Far From Home, is that when the Hulk snapped his fingers or when Thanos snapped his fingers?
No, I think
That
Far
was
From Home was when
Hulk.
Hulk snapped his
Yeah.
fingers, because there's footage of them coming back.
If you
Interesting.
watch other shows like the Hawkeye show, you can see that like characters would slowly form back.
Yeah.
Or not Thanos, I meant Iron Man when he snapped his fingers.
Oh no, Iron Man snapping
snapped
his
away
fingers
Thanos.
was to get rid of Thanos' army.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it.
So actually, his criticism here, it really pains me to say,
But
but
it's a little,
it's actually somewhat
a
right.
tiny bit. Yeah, I.
I'm so sorry, bestie Geraldine.
He hit a single mark. It wasn't a big mark.
Oh,
You know,
God.
actually, you
It's
know
a
what? A
Hopefully he
broken
said
clock
it.
is right twice a day, so.
I suppose.
He
Well
already got his
said,
one
click coin.
Mm-hmm.
retconning
Well said.
how people returned from the snap, and while it's a small thing and it doesn't really matter, it's still kind of dumb.
I'm still gonna make a big deal about it.
For the record, I do think that the WandaVision version is a lot better. Still inside the hospital, Rambo runs into the
You
doctor
appreciate
that had
Miss
been treating her
Geraldine?
mother for cancer. The doctor says that her
Barely.
mother died, and Rambo is
he's not,
confused
like,
because
he's
she
not
had just been
mentioning
told that the surgery
how
was successful. But as it
she's
turns
good
out,
at
that was
acting.
quite a
She's
few
just
years ago.
describing
The
the
doctor
scenario.
informs her that while the surgery was successful, the cancer did end up returning and that her mother had died 3 years ago. 2 weeks go by and Rambo returns to her job at Sword. She finds that her access card no longer works and that many things have changed. She gets briefed on all of these changes and brought up to date with everything that's been happening, but she's also informed that she's no longer allowed to go on certain types of missions. There is now a protocol in place for anyone that had returned from the snap. I'm not going to call it the blip because the blip is just dumb, so we're going to call it the snap.
But given that it's a stupid-ass decision, I've elected to ignore it.
As a result, she is assigned to a mission to help deal with a missing persons case. Now, unfortunately, in this episode, we see the return of several MCU characters that nobody likes and nobody cares about. The first is Agent Woo. He was an extremely annoying character from the Ant-Man sequel, though...
Of course. I wonder why he's saying
I wonder why he's
he doesn't
annoying.
like Agent Woo.
Agent Woo was so funny. when he did like the card trick thing, or like when he was asking how Ant-Man did it. That was hilarious.
Oh,
I
is
think
that
it's
where we
interesting.
saw him
I
before?
wonder
Yeah.
why his name is Agent, or I wonder why he's upset that Agent Woo is in this movie. Is it because
He's
he's
Dare I
Asian?
say Asian?
Is it because of that? Is he not like Asian people either?
I don't know.
Oh my.
I mean, let's just see if he criticizes someone of European.
Oh,
But
I have to
first
admit,
he just
his
like makes his blood boil.
Seeing minorities on screen just like absolutely like sets him off. Like
He immediately takes 15 pages of notes on their acting.
character has been substantially improved for this TV show. The writers got rid of all of the stupid, annoying parts of the character, and instead, he acts like a normal person and is actually a decent character now. Sadly,
they stripped him of his personality, therefore good.
Right. He
they
has
didn't
like
do that.
1 to 2 lines.
Yeah, like in
That's
this episode, he literally like barely talks.
For the other returning MCU character, but we'll get to that in just a minute. Rambo arrives at the scene and is introduced to Agent Woo, who successfully pulls off the card trick he was trying to learn in the Ant-Man sequel.
I understood that reference.
He explains that it's not just a simple missing
it's called
person
character
case,
development.
but instead
Right.
it's a missing town. The people that live nearby,
It's
like
also
the
called setup and payoff. But
sheriff that has been called in to help,
Don't get
even
technical about
acknowledge the existence of the town of Westview. As far as they're concerned, no such town has ever existed, despite the fact that we can very clearly see that there's a town sign and buildings behind it. Wu and Rambo are a little confused because they know that the town exists, so they speculate that the amnesia must be affecting only the local area. Rambo wants to investigate the town, but instead of trying to just go in, she decides to send a helicopter drone instead. The drone passes through some sort of energy field and then disappears. Rambo walks up to the energy field and then starts touching it because she's an idiot.
You're just a woman with a small brain.
The show is
No.
I'm gonna have a stroke.
Oh my god.
I don't know what to say.
Are we like? I don't think we're over dramatizing.
I don't think it, and especially after that stuff he just pulled.
Why did he?
I don't know what to say.
Out of all the
I'm
reaction
actually
videos
speechless.
he could have used, why would he choose that one?
I'm actually speechless. Like I don't know what to say.
Because
What? Who gave him the right?
Who gave him the right to like speak?
someone take that GIF app away from him. He doesn't need it. He
Someone
doesn't deserve
take
to have
away-
it
He's
anymore.
Someone take
abusing
away
it.
his-
That's what he's doing.
Yeah, someone take away his YouTube. Like someone turn off his internet. Come on.
This is
His mommy's gotta come into his room and turn off his internet because he's being
Exactly.
way
He doesn't pay
too
for
much of a
it.
14-year-old.
Like, for living in his mother's basement, he seems to be disrespecting women a lot.
oh god dang.
He's been trying to portray Rambo as being the best, the brightest, the most talented agent at sword, and yet she very clearly has no idea what she's doing.
What do you
She gets
mean?
pulled into the energy field where she is forced to live out the first 3 episodes as the character of Geraldine.
Okay, well, no, the first 2 episodes. She wasn't in the first episode. But also, I just want to ask here, like, for him, like, in this part where he's talking about how she's not qualified, what the fuck else was she supposed to do?
Right.
Like, I mean, and it's like she's already been in there once. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she came out of that same
No,
energy
this
field.
this is before that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this
Oh,
is
is that how she
before
got in there?
Yeah.
What?
Oh god.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What
Might
else
be,
is
like-
she supposed to do? Like,
But
what?
I mean, she's girl bossing her way through it. Truly.
Truly.
He just isn't acknowledging it.
I feel the need to point out
Oh
that
my
the
gosh, it's this screenshot. Why is it always
He's
this?
obsessed with that
He probably,
photo.
Before he was making this, he probably looked up like ugly Geraldine photo. Something.
Cringe
just wanted to find a
Geraldine
way to hate.
photos.
Yeah, cringe Geraldine.
Sequence of events is pretty stupid. Since Rambo didn't know that the energy field was there in the first place, there's no reason for her to have not tried to simply walk in or drive in. Why would she try to use the drone to go in first when she didn't even know that the energy field was there to begin with? It just doesn't make any sense, but the show wanted to have this sequence of events happen. They wanted to have the drone activate the field and then have Rambo go and investigate it and then get pulled in.
Well, like
where really they could have just had her...
No. The drone doesn't... Like, the field doesn't need to be activated. If you step into the field, you go inside of it. It's already activated.
Right.
Like...
Maybe he just didn't use, like, the right term.
Maybe, but I find that very doubtful, personally.
True.
Like, I don't know if that's true.
Trust what he's saying.
Yeah, I can't trust him
Is he
to
really
be a
confident
reputable
about it?
source. Like, I can't trust him to be a reputable source even in what he, like, believes. I have to, like, we have to take everything that he's saying, like, as a lie, because that's what he does.
He can't really, like, go on complaining about continuity errors, like the thing with the snap if he doesn't even know how this like force field or whatever this thing
force
is.
Field works, yeah. How the hex works, yeah. No, like, honestly, Pop-Off's birthday.
Yes.
Get in the car and drive through the field. I guess that would have been faster, but then they couldn't have done the weird helicopter thing that Wanda found later, but whatever. But don't worry, it gets worse. We then get introduced to another...
Why would she... It
gets worse.
Why would she drive the car into the field? Like, she has a bunch of stuff in the car. Why would she drive it into the field and potentially break all that stuff?
I feel like the bad decision he was talking about was going into the field in the first place, so does it matter how she does it?
Right. It's still having the same effect.
Exactly.
You know,
like
instead of walking into the field, she should have like done cartwheels into the field. They would have been everything would have been
that really would have
different.
progressed the plot, in my opinion.
Another character that no one likes or cares about. It's the annoying girl from the Thor movies. Easily one of the most disliked characters in the entire MCU.
I don't...
Did he ask everyone, every single MCU fan ever?
Yeah.
Like,
and also, I'm sensing a common theme among all these characters that he doesn't like.
They're either women, or they're people of color, or they're women of
both.
Exactly, like that's a double whammy. You saw how he was hating on my bestie.
Double jeopardy, I guess.
You saw they were hating on Geraldine.
I'm still waiting for a moment where he hates on a white man. But you know.
Literally never happened.
Those pants are peachy keen.
Ugh.
Okay, whatever.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
Oh,
I mentioned characters being girl from the Thor movies. Easily one of the most disliked characters in the entire MCU.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
It is.
Bree, you should be offended, Bree. Go on lockdown.
I need to alert
Protect yourself.
Go, hey, Brie Larson.
Protect yourself, Brie Larson.
Right.
Oh,
I mentioned that they changed Agent Woo and made him less annoying, but sadly they didn't make the same changes for this character. She's brought up to a base camp outside of West.
Just, like, giving him less lines?
Changing Agent Woo means literally just like taking everything that made Agent Woo funny or interesting
away. He just can't anymore. He's just there.
Can't be like his own character. He just has to like just exist.
He kind of just works at store.
That's it.
View where a man calls to her using her name of Lewis, and we immediately get reminded how unlikable this character is. She responds and corrects him by saying, that's Dr. Lewis?
That's not...
That's a horrible impression.
Bestie, that's not... Bestie though, like, okay, that's like a 2-second interaction. Like they
Even so, like if I went through all the work to get a doctorate, I'm gonna tell people about it. Like,
No,
what
yeah,
did you
like
say?
honestly, but like
That's like
his
8 years of
criticism falls flat
school.
because
Like,
it's
back
making
off.
it seem like she made a big deal out of it, but she like didn't.
Right.
Like she
She's
just said
just
it.
correcting him.
Yeah, like come on.
How about no?
Let me make something emphatically
Come
clear.
on.
You are
How
not in the
about I
medical
don't
field.
refer to you by
Smart.
the PhD you earned?
Exactly. Like it's always people
You
with
know, how about this? You know what? How about we don't refer to Chip Coin
Yeah.
by his like preferred
name.
pref-
Let's
prefer-
call him Clipped Coin. Or what was his
Coin.
name?
No, it's
Coin.
Coin. That's
Chip.
How about we
the
like
fake one, allegedly.
how
That's
about
the one
we
we made up for him.
you know like he's not an actual coin, so let's not call him clipped coin. Let's like call him something that's like demeaning. We'll call him like penny.
Oh
It
my god.
hurt him that way because you know like he's not an actual coin, so
Clip nails.
Let me make something emphatically clear. You are not in the medical field. I don't care if you have a fancy piece of paper from an
What?
overpriced school.
Does he not?
You're not in the medical field. You're
That's
not a
not how
doctor.
doctorates
Shut
work.
not-
that's not what a
no.
doctorate is.
Has he been to college? Has he graduated high school? Does
You
he
can get a
actually know
doctorate
what
for
he is?
anything.
You can get a doctorate in anything, and then you're a doctor in that field.
Especially if he's working for a
He
government
literally,
agency.
he literally is like a 5-year-old kid.
No,
It's
yeah,
like,
you don't
why?
like. That's not
What
how
do you
doctor.
need, doctor?
You don't have to be in the medical field to be a doctor.
Oh my god.
We'll just get medical doctorates in our
I'm like actually.
I feel like I've lost so many brain cells.
This is insanity. Like this might have been his dumbest point yet.
No, because why is he so pressed that she has a
Like,
doctorate?
yeah,
when
no,
it's called
honestly,
He said that in full confidence too. He was like, "I don't care if you have a degree from this fancy college."
You know, I don't care if you worked your ass off to get a good little piece of paper that says you're qualified to be a doctor. You're not.
You're not.
Just like how
You
I
just-
don't care if you get
He's
like a
crime
fancy little
savior.
JPEG of a coin that has a little bit taken out of it. You're a person. Like, does he not realize how fucking stupid this line of logic is?
Right? Did he not like edit that out? Like, was he like when he was like just looking back on this?
He
Like,
should have edited it out.
yeah, that's a good point. Like,
No, I like to imagine he sat there, watched this, and said, "Yep, that's the one." And gotta keep that in the video.
You gotta keep that in the video, yeah, goddamn.
Get a nice
Apparently, the show has decided that it wasted too much time on the slow first 3 episodes, and it needs to speed things up. So Clown College Girl immediately manages to figure out that there's a huge
not
amount
him
of background.
invalidating her.
Clown college
That's like that.
Oh my god, I can't.
I want to know what level of degree this guy has.
I want to know.
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
I want to know what level of like. I want to know like what his IQ is. I'm betting it's like below 30.
God, there's no way.
Intellectually disabled.
It's just over here. I want to talk about this scene. Like, what did you want her fiddling with it the whole episode? That would have been pointless. Like that would have been a pointless thing for them to do, not like show sitcoms. Like, why are you pressed about the pacing being like slower when it doesn't need to be slower?
Also, it's just so funny how he's getting so pissed over like a fictional character. Like, this is not real.
This
Like,
is not healthy.
She didn't go to college for this. Like, she's separate from her character,
Yeah,
and it's really funny that
this
he's
really
like,
is like unhealthy though.
I don't care what college you went to, as if like she'd get offended by it.
As if like it's like something that she's like gonna be super pressed about, like she's gonna fucking
Yeah.
watch this and like be like super upset.
No way, he did not just say that.
Radiation, and also that there's a transmission signal attached to it. She says that she's going to need an old television in order to prove a theory. Outside, Sword is trying to send a man in a hazmat suit into Westview through the sewer system. Back inside, the television has been set up. I don't know how they could possibly have found one so quickly.
I'm sorry. What?
But they did, and now they're able to watch the events that are happening.
How they got one so quickly?
The government agency can't find like a 10-year-old TV.
The government, well,
Oh,
that,
Lord.
and also they're in a small town. Probably
Right.
surrounded by a bunch of other small towns. I don't imagine that finding an old TV would be like that hard.
I really don't either. Like, it probably wouldn't even need to be that old. Like,
Yeah, like the TV they use isn't even that old.
like TVs we have now are pretty new, like 10 year. But either way,
Yeah, like honestly.
like it's not like some rare relic you need to find.
No, genuinely,
Right.
it's not like it's like some like 1800s like piece of gold.
Inside Westview using the transmission signal. They immediately notice Wanda and Vision, and are also able to identify many of the other people that are surrounding them. Eventually, they also see Rambo, who appears to be completely unaware of what's going on. Agent Wu and Clown Girl tried to broadcast their own transmission into Westview. This gets picked up by one of the radios where we
Is
hear
this
a
like the tampon girl thing
I
again?
guess this is
Exactly,
the
but with
tampon.
Clown
Yeah, I guess
Girl.
this is the tampon
He
girl
always
thing.
has
At
this
least
no,
it's not
ADC, but a clown.
at least, honestly, at least it's not as like bad
Demeaning.
as tampon girl, because like tampon girl was for a fucking like teenager.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, like,
ew.
that was kind of gross.
Pick
At
on
least
someone
it's
your
not
own
that.
age.
How old
Like,
are you, grown man? Tampon Girl?
I mean, like, we all know that you live in your mother's basement, so clearly you can't be like that, like emotionally like mature, but like
Not until it wasn't even like relevant to
physically,
the movie.
yeah. It's just, it's dumb. We're not gonna talk about tampon girl. I've done that enough.
man asking Wanda what happened and who did this to her. This turns out to be Agent Wu who was asking those questions. Clown Girl is watching the television and there seems to be a glitch, and the show simply removes a section where Wanda was reacting to the radio. But Clown Girl doesn't think much of it. In the sewers, the man passes through the energy field that was below ground. As he moves through this field, his hazmat suit is changed into a beekeeper outfit. Climbing up on top of the road, another glitch is experienced where the man simply vanishes and no one seems to know what happened.
It's gone. It's all gone.
The members of SWORD continue to watch the events inside Westview until the point where Wanda gives birth to twins, but then another glitch happens, but this one is finally noticed. They realize that parts of the broadcast are being removed, possibly by Wanda or someone else. This is where the show gets even more interesting and explains a big part of what's going on. All of this is hidden from the members of SWORD who are outside, but we as the audience get to see what actually happened between Wanda and Rambo. Wanda confronts Rambo and then, using her powers, throws Rambo through a wall and several other buildings and fences that for some reason don't seem to hurt Rambo. And several other
I think he mixed the clips up.
I think so. I think he actually went from clip to photo, but it looks really bad.
No, yeah, I feel like he like mixed them. Like the second clip should have been the first clip, and the first clip should have been the second clip.
Ew.
He's all goofy.
Buildings and fences that for some reason don't seem to hurt Rambo in any way whatsoever, even though it probably should have killed her. Whatever.
Wasn't quite as sick as I made out.
Rambo is then launched outside of Westview beyond the energy field. Throughout the previous movies, Wanda's powers were only able to really move things around and cause damage. She also had very limited telepathic ability to put thoughts or feelings into other people's heads. However, now, instead of using her energy to only move things around, she can now manipulate reality. Using her new power, she recreates all of the walls and fences and fixes the house back to...
So is this a complaint of his? Because he already said this. Like, this is just him repeating himself.
I can't really tell. I feel like he's just going. I think he's just like giving
Pointing
a
it out.
synopsis again.
Yeah, I guess.
How it was before. But there
He
is an
just always
even
sounds
bigger
angry.
surprise when Vision
Yeah.
walks into the house. What we saw in the previous episode was him looking completely normal, but now we get to look at him through the eyes of Wanda. And instead of appearing normal, we can see that Vision is in fact still dead.
The spark of his life is smothered in shite.
After a brief moment of horror, Wanda again uses her powers to fix Vision and make him look how she wants him to look.
No. That's not true. That's not how that happens. She doesn't fix Vision. She sees Vision as dead, looks back because it's like a PTSD moment. And she looks like at him again and he's fine. You know, like, have you ever heard of a hallucination clipped coin? It's come on, man.
Rambo wakes up outside the energy field and now understands that Wanda is the one that is responsible for the changes in reality. Overall, this was a very good episode. I enjoyed the beginning where it showed what happens when the people were returned using the Infinity Stones. I like the improvement that they did to Agent Wu, and
like,
certainly
did he
the
enjoy it?
explanations were finally
I don't
moving
know,
the
I can't
story
tell.
along. Even Rambo did a better job of acting in this episode.
Wow.
Clown Girl is
always been good at acting.
Wow, he did it, bestie. Are you
He-
happy?
I just
It was so backhanded.
It was
though.
a
I know,
backhanded
like,
compliment, but it was at
better.
least semi-compliment.
I don't know. I wouldn't.
I don't know if I can take it like that. I just
I don't know if Bestie Geraldine would accept that.
I don't know if I can accept it on her behalf.
still annoying,
just-
and unfortunately, she's probably going to be around for the rest of the season, but there's not much you can do about
Unfortunately.
that. The show is definitely improving, and I'm looking forward to what's going to happen next week. But that's the end of episode 4.
Okay, so that's all for today, I guess.
That is.
Yeah, guys. We made it through. we can successfully say that we've watched 3 episodes of Chipped Coin in one sitting.
That was painful.
We got.
It really
You
was.
guys want to do this tomorrow as well for
For
next
sure,
couple?
yeah.
Dope.
Sure.
Dope. Okay.
Unhealthy dosage of.
So we'll be back tomorrow with some more Chipped Coin.
We sure will.
This has been Cribby, Bestie, and Bestie Spurthy, and we're signing off because fuck, it is almost 1, and we all need to sleep.
You have work tomorrow.
Who is we?
Every stream to get to.
Bye, guys.
I do.